Yep, I told you guys that I would have a lot to talk about with the Switch 2 coming out. Starting off with perhaps the title that triggered me the most against Nintendo over the past couple of months, Welcome Tour. So I actually watched some preview videos about this game. Different outlets got their hands on it, some people decided to stream it, and I don't even know why I was watching in particular. Like, I don't know what I was expecting, but I just kind of needed some background noise that it popped up on my feed, so I started clicking. So already, if you don't know, I should say that I despise this title, not for what it is, but for what it represents. Nintendo is coming out with a console that's more expensive than any other it's ever released. They are charging more for games than they have ever charged. They are coming off an extremely successful previous generation console. And to top it all off, they decided to make this fun, easy little tech demo minigame compilation that sort of teaches you about the Switch and all of its features. Something that looks cute, something that's like a virtual manual, something that's just meant to be a fun, quick pick up and play thing for the Nintendo Switch 2. Despite everything, they decided not to include it with the launch of the Nintendo Switch 2. It's not going to be a pack-in title. Instead, it's going to be considered one of the first-party launch titles, so they can inflate the amount of games they are launching with, and it's going to be sold for $10. And if Nintendo is selling something for $10, by their inflation numbers, that means it's probably worth $1.50. There are a few things to unpack here. First of all, there's an idea that many people try to argue, and they try to downplay the value of Reggie Fils-Aimé as the president of Nintendo of America. Reggie Fils-Aimé, for those of you that don't know, fought in order to have Wii Sports included with the Nintendo Wii. And this is primarily because, from what I've heard online at least, I don't know if this is just a stereotype, but Japanese game companies don't believe in giving away something for free when they've worked on it. So they believe if they've worked on it, it's worth money, it's worth selling. I don't know how true that is. It feels like just a weird stereotype people make just to kind of defend the Switch 2 not having a pack-in title. I don't know. But the point is that Reggie Fils-Aimé actually fought to have Wii Sports included with the Nintendo Wii because he felt that would get the console moving, and he was very correct. At least it's understood on my end that he was very correct. For all I know, there could be just a ton of bitter Japanese board members of Nintendo seething at the thought that the Nintendo Wii could have had so many Wii Sports sales if they didn't include it for free, and that every one of those free copies that were received were $50 they sacrificed. But I don't know, as far as I'm concerned, the Nintendo Wii was a success because of Reggie Fils-Aimé fighting to have Wii Sports included with the Nintendo Wii on its launch and throughout most of the duration of its life. This is the value of having a Nintendo president that cares about the customer, or at least pretends to care about the customer, if you actually believe that none of them care. Now, on the other hand, you have Bowser, who's going around saying if you're too poor, don't buy the Switch, go buy the Switch 1 instead of the Switch 2. And I promise you, he is not trying to get Welcome Tour included as a pack-in title. He's not trying to get anything included as a pack-in title, because there is no way in hell he's that type of person. After all, he's Bowser. So naturally, Nintendo is not going to be including this game for free along with its Nintendo Switch 2, even though it would have probably been one of the easiest decisions for them to make to show good favor towards the fans. But it actually gets worse than that. If you were somebody that did decide to purchase Welcome Tour, I'm assuming you did it by accident while half asleep because nobody in their right mind would buy this game, then in order to actually beat this game, you have to spend more money. And that's because this game includes a very peculiar type of physical DLC. In order to fully complete this title, you need to buy more accessories, because there are actual minigames hidden behind more physical accessories being bought into the title. Now, I understand the concept. If somebody had a Pro Controller, they can go into Welcome Tour and they can play this game and do the minigames that involve the Pro Controller. If you bought the USB camera, likewise. But think about this from a gameplay angle. You are buying a game, because Nintendo is calling it a game, you're buying a game that you can't even fully complete unless you buy more hardware. To really think about this, you are basically buying a paid system tour with physical add-ons on a console that is more expensive than any other console Nintendo has ever released before. And now all of a sudden, the $10 price tag is starting to make sense to me. This is why Nintendo is being so generous. This is why they are selling it at $10 instead of $30, which is probably what they actually think it's worth. Because they're accounting for the sales of the accessories as being part of the price of this game. Because they know if at least one person out there is like, you know what, these mini games for the type of hardware look cool, I'm gonna go buy them because then I can use them for the rest of my console, then as far as Nintendo's concerned, that's a success. And I know it sounds ridiculous. Why would somebody decide to buy something after playing Welcome Tour? And to that I reply, it's ridiculous that somebody would even buy Welcome Tour. So if there are actually people out there willing to spend $10 on a paid system tour for the Nintendo Switch 2 console, then you mean to tell me there aren't so many Nintendo anxiety-filled people out there that need to fully accomplish every single game they buy, and they were already 50-50 on the Switch 2 controller, and this kind of set them over the edge to make sure they buy it. I know that sounds dumb, but think about all the dumb people out there in the world. There are bound to be enough that fall for this and decide to buy it. I just think it's worth reminding you all that Astro's Playroom is free, and it has features of the system and controller, and it was like Nintendo level quality as far as Mario games are concerned. Even the Steam Deck came with an interactive game specifically to familiarize new users with the deck. I am so convinced that Nintendo saw the success of Astrobot and thought to themselves, how can we monetize this? How can we make money off of this type of game? Instead of making it free, we'll charge something that people will pay without thinking. $10. And it's not even worth that amount. Honestly, the whole idea that is a paid title makes less sense than the fact that you have to buy the Pro Controller and the camera to beat the game. That actually makes more sense in this instance. This is not a video game. Its content is a tutorial about the Switch, and it's just so baffling to me that this was not included as a pack-in title for the Nintendo Switch 2. You know, honestly, I'm surprised that it took me this long to actually get a video out about Welcome Tour, because that's what kind of really pushed me over the edge initially. And I think I was just kind of holding it off because in my mind, I was like, how much damage could this do? It's a dumb $10 game and people are gonna waste their dumb $10 money on this. But now that the console is actually launching, and now that I realize that this is actually not coming with the Switch 2, there is somebody out there at Nintendo that legitimately thinks a Nintendo Switch 2 with Welcome Tour is worth $460 US plus tax. That's like an actual thought in somebody's mind. The Nintendo Wii with Wii Sports was $250. With inflation, that is less than $400. But the Switch 2 with the same concept, a welcome game. A welcome game that is probably not even as good as Wii Sports is $460. Welcome to modern Nintendo.